So I'm Dewey.
And I'm Terry.
And we are here to take you on an adventure with us as we strengthen marriages one date at a time. Welcome to our podcast, Treat Your Spouse. All right, so today we got to go, it was actually yesterday. Yesterday we got to go on a double date with two of our favorite people. Our oldest, Jacob Ball, and his amazing wife, Abby Ball. Yay! Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the date. And after we talk about the date, we are just going to talk to each other about marriage, about life, about what we can learn to strengthen our marriage, their marriage, your marriage, all marriages. So with that said, Terry.
Dewey. So you took us to a restaurant called Screen Door Kitchen. I kept calling it Screen Door Porch.
I know. The people were very offended.
Yeah, they were like, get out. So tell us how you came about the Screen Door Kitchen.
Good, honey.
Well, it's by like a hiking place that we really like in Dayton, Tennessee called Pocket Wilderness. And me and my friend go there all the time. And so she took me there one time and it was like amazing. So then I took Jacob and now we go all the time. So then we took y'all.
Yes, it was so good.
It was so good. I would say one of the best burgers I've ever had. Thank y'all for this. It's actually a house.
Yeah.
We'll play a clip right here at the house.
It's really cool.
Plug in the house. Yeah, it's actually a house. You go into the house, and you said they live upstairs?
I think they live upstairs, yeah.
That's what I've been told.
So the owners live upstairs, and they cook downstairs, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms, right? Mm-hmm. Where you get to go dining?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, especially just I think the price is good for what you get.
Yeah,
I think the quality is really good. And Abby loves to get the fried green tomatoes, and I pick the cheese off of them.
Yeah.
That's like pimento cheese, right?
Yeah.
Just go get some pimento cheese.
Oh,
you don't like the cheese.
I do like the cheese. I like it there. I wouldn't go out of my way to. I want to feel like I'm getting something from the appetizer.
How were the fried pickles?
Oh, they were real good.
Oh, good.
I left them here in the fridge.
I was going to say they're here in the fridge.
I forgot.
I wish I would have got a picture of the food before we ate it.
Yeah.
Terry got the crab puppies. Is that what they are?
Is that what they were?
Crab
puppies?
Yeah.
I called them crab patties. Is that from SpongeBob, maybe?
They look like hush puppies.
Krabby patties, okay.
Krabby patties.
They look like hush puppies, but they have jalapenos and something just went off, I hope to God. Oh, it was the TV. Jalapenos and crab meat in there.
And puppies.
That's why I didn't try it.
Dogs. No.
Puppies, yeah.
Puppy dogs.
Seafood from me.
I don't like jalapenos.
You couldn't taste them at all. So.
You couldn't taste
everybody.
The jalapenos or the...
You won't.
That's what everybody
No, you could
says.
taste the crab meat for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. Best burger ever. I do look forward to eating there again.
Yes.
Our daughter is going to college right next to this Screen Door
He brought
kitchen.
her up.
I think that's the longest this podcast has gone without talking about Haley. We reached the 2 minute
Speaking
mark.
of Haley,
Georgia, the whole day through.
And meanwhile, I'm at home playing Fortnite.
Exactly.
Leveling up every day.
I know. There's apparently a Captain America skin you can get on there now. I don't know if you've heard.
I don't want to go on too much of a tangent.
About it.
Abby gifted it to me last night.
oh, Abby's the best.
That's so sweet.
She used all of her V-Bucks to gift me a Captain
So
America.
if you want to strengthen your marriage,
gift a Captain America skin on Fortnite.
yes, that's what we learned today.
Yes.
All right, well, that's a wrap.
No,
Just kidding.
come on.
See you next time.
I would say we recommend that you go to the Screen Door Porch Kitchen. Screen Door Kitchen.
Don't look up Screen Door Porch on Google, because then you're just going to get a bunch of ads for Screen Door Porches instead of the Screen Door
But
Kitchen.
definitely look it up because they're closed like Monday and Tuesday or something.
Yeah,
it's like
look
weird
it up.
days.
And sometimes they're just randomly closed.
Yeah,
and you'll
it's
drive
fun.
all the way to
You drive all the way
Dayton,
out there and
then
It's a
they're
beautiful
just-
drive. Your
yeah.
cell phone loses
Yeah.
service
Yeah.
about halfway through. And
sure.
they know that we were there podcasting because dude was videoing and they kept coming and saying, "What are you guys doing?" And so
Yeah, the dude thought I had some kind of beads, and
I don't know.
we don't know. That guy was
he
Very
actually
nice.
stopped me on the way out and started asking me
Interested you.
question about. He's a
So if you
aspiring
go-
musician.
And they ask you how you heard about it. Say you heard about it from Treat Your Spouse.
Treat Your Spouse.
And Treat Your Spouse heard about it from
Jacob and Abby.
Zaltrax. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah,
Zaltrax. Oh my
Zaltrax.
gosh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
We
With
need to
that,
put
I don't
Zaltrax
want to
on.
plug.
Check this out.
Because I'm Zaltrax. Do you want a name?
No.
You want to be like Wife Trax?
I literally don't. No, please, God, no.
Galtrax. That's your name now. You're Galtrax to the people.
Okay.
I used to tell
It's
my
good.
middle school students that that they could get on the computer and get on YouTube only if they would subscribe to your YouTube
So that's
channel.
200 of his
Yeah, that's
240.
200 of my 200
subscribers.
subscribers. Yeah.
I was trying
And the rest
so
of them are
hard.
me.
You should make it know.
So what is your YouTube channel about?
It's used to be about video games, and then I have changed the format a little bit where it's more just me getting to talk about nerd stuff. Because Abby, bless her heart, I think she's so tired of hearing me talk about nerd stuff all the
I was
time.
ready to go.
So she's like, I think Abby's like, here's a good outlet for you to talk about your nerd stuff. But
But
we're
you
about
don't
to.
do it. Like, you haven't done one
We're
since,
about
like,
to.
August.
That's what I was about to say. Is we're
Y'all
about
done
to-
some together though, and they're
We've
funny.
done something together.
They're so funny.
We
Cast.
recommend this one,
Boom.
which is
Casting,
yes.
not Harry Potter, Hercules.
Hercules,
we
or
cast
was it
Hercules.
Percy Jackson?
Percy Jackson, but Abby's only in that one. She's in talks. I talk about her.
Okay. All good things. All good.
All
things.
good things. But like I said, just quick thing. Yeah, I don't do stuff right now, but I'm about to. Starting, I think the week this comes out on Friday.
So you're gonna start up Zaltrax again.
Mm-hmm.
So subscribe regardless, and pretty
Yeah.
soon the stuff will come.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then Abby will be in it sometimes. People think she's funnier than I am most of the time. That's what the comments say, but
She is so funny in it. They're good. Yeah.
she is funny.
Okay.
in
So
this YouTube channel.
It's a great thing, I think, for your marriage to do something together.
Creative, yeah.
Yeah, to do
I've
something
tried to talk
together.
Dewey into Instacarting with me, but
Oh dear gosh!
Oh,
Please.
he won't. We could do that together. Instacart. You actually did go with me today and delivered.
I did. I delivered, and
something.
that was
It was
well
nice.
worth it.
So I can still remember Jacob got a job and he came home and talked about this girl. Her name was Abby. What would her name was Rachel, and then
yeah.
her name was Abby, and I was like, Jacob, just ask her out or something. Do you remember any of that?
I don't remember all of it. But and then I remember asking her out
I remember this.
and being like, hey, girl that I've known because I knew her for
Like
a week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks because she was quitting. And so I was like, I got to make my move fast. And so I told her, I said, hey, I know we barely know each other, but...
My mom said I should ask you out.
No, even worse. I was like, I'm singing the national anthem at the Lookouts game this weekend, and my entire family will be there. Do you want to come meet my entire family? And she was like,
I was like, I don't really like you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know about that.
So-
Why would I like your family? I don't even like you. No.
So I came home and pouted on the couch and was just...
Did you sing the national anthem?
No,
No, I
never
couldn't
did.
even... I lost my voice like Ariel.
Oh, like
I thought
Ariel.
it just kept getting postponed.
Like
No, your
Ariel,
voice
you
like-
sold your voice.
She's like,
to
did some squid-looking
evil
creature come up and ask
Ursula.
you?
And then I got a little message that was like,
Slid into his DMs.
she slid into my DMs
Wow.
Wow.
Slid into
and
the
said,
DM.
hey, I'm hanging out with my friends tonight if you want to come and play games with us. And I like changed my clothes into the nicest t-shirt I had. And
He broke out the vintage
the
Spider-Man.
vintage Spider-Man t-shirt. No, but this is a quick funny story about us dating. The second date we ever went on was to watch Infinity War at the drive-in. That was the day after that day. Because Abby was like, hey,
It was a
also-
double. It wasn't like a date. Like, we weren't dating.
Oh, she was very clear.
I was trying you out.
Most of the time.
They were talking.
Yeah.
She was
I
very
was
clear.
You
testing
did
the
say
water.
talking.
Yeah, she was, and so we were on this second. I would call it a date, a double date. I had intentions, and so
Wow.
He was pursuing.
well, I kept
Good.
trying to hold her hand first off, and she was like moving her hand the
Yeah, I
whole time.
wanted nothing to do with
But
that.
and then, so if you've seen Infinity War, spoilers: Spider-Man dies at the end, and Spider-Man is my favorite fictional character. And I'd seen the movie like 4 times. It's not like this was going to be a surprise to me. So the entire time the movie is happening, I can't really enjoy it because I'm thinking the whole time, Jacob, you can't cry when Spider-Man dies like every single time you've watched this movie because you're on a date with this girl. And so I was holding strong. I was ready for it. And then we're sitting together in this Jeep at the drive-in, and Spider-Man starts dying. I start crying, and I try to roll over.
My
I started to roll over to like, okay, she won't notice. And it was pretty obvious, right? Like, I was
he was
his
sneaking.
whole body.
He was like,
Yeah, it's not like a.
I was like, are you crying? And he was like, yeah.
Oh
Listen,
my word!
sad stuff.
I saw Infinity Wars at the movie theater with Jacob, and it is an experience I will never forget because he cheers when each character comes on the screen, and then the whole theater cheers. So it's like a different. It's different than just watching the movie. So
Abby loves going to watch
I
Marvel
loved when I
movies
went to
with me.
Endgame, which first of all I saw it one time and it was one time too many. But we went to the opening
Yes.
night and I was in between Jacob and this stranger that I had no idea what it was. And there was one part where like I look over and you're crying and I was like, what the heck? And then I look over and this guy's crying and I was like, where am
It's
I?
the
Like I
power.
want to get out of here. I do
She
not
just
want to
laughed.
be here
It's
right
the
now.
power of Marvel movies. And when
You
Ethan,
cried like 7 times.
well, when
during
Ethan
that
comes
movie.
on here, make sure that you talk about. Ethan says the Marvel movies aren't good. He was on the edge of his seat the whole time. On
Endgame.
Well, after he got done texting at the beginning of Endgame, he was on the edge of his seat. But yeah, so that's good stuff.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right.
So how long have y'all been married now?
Since like June. I don't know how many
June.
months that is.
June 20th. 2020.
Yeah, I actually forgot
It
the
was
date the other day.
2020,
I like
2020.
panicked. I was like, when did we even get married?
June 2020.
So
that's
7.5 months.
7.5 months.
So, and you were going to be married in April, but COVID happened.
COVID.
And then we were going to be married in September, and then
And
we were
let me
going to be
tell
married
you-
in November, and then we got married in June.
I will tell you, by the grace of God, we were not married whenever we were going to get married.
Why?
I think so. I think we were.
We weren't in like the best place.
We weren't in the best. Like we, like you said, this podcast is all about being candid and stuff. So
And being real.
we, it was pretty rough the first bit of our marriage, and I think it was only by the grace of God and just it showed how good He was that we came out the other side of it, thinking more about okay, now that we know what marriage is supposed to look like, and we're gonna like. I think it was true. Like at the time, I remember being really sad that our marriage, like the wedding, got postponed. But I really think it was God going, "No, you still need a little more time. You still need a little more time." And even though He probably would have preferred for us to have even a little bit more time than when we did get married, He was working through it. And like now, I think we're getting to a much better place. I would say.
And we saved the money to pay for the apartment for 3 months because we changed the venue.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not want to have a wedding with a lot of people there. I was freaking out about it. And because of COVID, it was only family. And I
That
really
was nice,
appreciated
yeah.
that
Yeah.
because I was just absolutely horrified at the fact that there was
Yeah.
going to be like even 75 people there.
And it's cool because like we talk about a lot how God, you see God and you think about God, and most of the time it's the big miracles He does, and those are super awesome and they're super important. But I think it's also just as awesome that God cares about you so much for the little things like that. Like Abby didn't want a lot of people at the wedding, and some people were kind of pressuring her to have a lot of people, and so we were kind of just getting ready to go. Okay, well. And I know that you would have been uncomfortable the whole time.
Oh, for sure.
And
I
it
would
would
have
have ruined
waited
the
for
whole
it to
thing
be over.
if there was
Yeah.
that many people. And I think God really was like, well, I'll pull this string and this string and this string to make sure you don't have to have that many people at your wedding. And I just think that's awesome.
Yeah, it was much more intimate too because we were able to have it in chapel
Yeah.
when we were going to have it outside.
Mm-hmm.
But it was June, so that would have been absolutely miserable.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Beautiful wedding. You're going to put a
Thank
picture
you.
up. Even Graham, forgetting to get his tie, couldn't ruin
I
it.
know.
Gosh.
Even Graham couldn't
Even
ruin it.
Graham couldn't ruin
It
it.
was
Come
fun.
on, Graham.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Be a buddy couple, and we'll talk or something.
We thought
It's a
they
really
were going to get
weird
married at one
phrasing.
time.
Yeah.
Graham and people in show choir
Yeah.
thought they were going to get married.
Yeah, we'd go to shows and people were like, "Man, those two guys are really good for each other."
They're
They actually
great.
did a show that some people mistake.
They did the prodigal show, and then Jacob played the father, and Graham played the son. And at the end of it, Jacob and Graham would embrace, and then they would touch.
It was like a Lord of the
heads,
Rings
which
thing.
will show. Yeah, like a Lord
We
of the Rings,
came
like
up
a
with it.
brotherhood.
We said we're gonna touch heads like
don't doubt
Aragorn.
it. came
and
up with it.
yeah, and
No one
was
asked us
never
to
the
do
question.
Here are roads in this life that we all travel.
There are scars and there are battles where we roam.
But
We were walking down me and Dewey were walking they had just performed and it was amazing, and we were walking down the hallway to try to get to where they were to be like, you guys did so good. And there were some people in front of us talking about the show, and they said, I love those guys got back together at the end. We were like, oh, they missed the whole thing.
listen,
I'm loving those guys got
it's
back
like
together
a David
at the
and
end.
Jonathan thing. Jonathan loved David. Me and Graham. were
I agree.
tight.
You guys
Hopefully,
love each
Graham
other.
won't
We love Graham.
die.
We're gonna miss
But-
Graham.
We'll miss him, but he's only going to Nashville.
He'll come back.
I'll go back to the first year of marriage. I think if you sit down with every married couple, they would say the first year of marriage is hard.
Amen. First,
Mm-hmm.
2, 3, 4,
Maybe the first 15.
15, 16.
No, I'm just kidding.
And like I would say for sure, and we're definitely, like I said, that's one thing that we wanted to kind of say when we came on here was because we felt like so many people that we were talking to before we got married, they were being like, oh, marriage isn't as easy as you think, and marriage is going to be, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. But it was like,
Well, we had both sides though.
we had both sides for sure. But like, I think especially if you're like me and you went from never living on your own, never having to like really do chores
Make your own
To-
cereal,
to
sandwiches,
yeah,
clean up after yourself.
to moving
Get your towel
in.
when you're going to the shower. Mom, bring me a towel. Coming.
Well, and I think we were both extremes, but like extremes on the opposite end. Because I grew up in a house where like nothing was out of place. Like we did
What are you trying to say? Just kidding.
chores. No, but like we just
I'm
we
kidding, I'm
did
kidding.
crazy chores. Like I mean, not crazy chores, but like chores every day. Like
Mm-hmm.
even when I went to my friend's house, it wasn't like as nice as our house. So I was like on the extreme, and OCD also runs in my family.
She's
So
doing
I
things
have.
like dusting, whatever that means.
Yeah, like
Dusting.
I'm allergic to things.
Swiffering.
Yeah, pet
Swiffer,
hair.
what? Do you mean you run fast?
But-
What's that mean?
So that was new because Jacob's clean was my dirty, and so like
Yeah.
that took a long time. It still is taking
And
a long time.
and because my clean would be like, there's nothing on the floor.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like what are you
Everything's
talking
on
about?
the
All the dirty
table.
dishes are in the sink.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
mean?
What do you
It's
mean?
dirty.
I just got rid of all the bugs everywhere. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what do you mean?
But-
And that's a
I
big gone
do
for a
think,
day.
on that aspect, I do think that there's a happy medium. I think we are not clean enough, but I think some people are too clean to where you don't have enough time. If you're always cleaning, you just
Yeah.
can't spend
Yeah.
quality time
And
with each other. So
we are trying to find that happy balance, and I think it's worked out much better.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
it-
hard though, because like it triggers my anxiety for things to not be where it is, and then that makes us have tension because I'm already like
Yeah.
anxious about something. So it's been a learning experience for me to be like, okay, that's not where it's supposed to be, but it's okay. Like
Yeah.
it's okay.
Right.
And I think that speaks a lot for like marriage in general, and especially the first part of it.
Compromise.
It's compromise, and especially when like I think me and you are both very like
Set in our ways.
set in our ways, but also like we're very like I'm trying to think, not prideful. Prideful sounds bad, but it's like when we believe something, we're standing by this, and
stubborn.
Yeah.
stubborn, but like not all the time in a bad way. But I
Yeah.
think in some ways it can be like, marriage is a lot of time. Like you guys said it on the podcast before, and marriage is not fair in any way. And so sometimes you're gonna go, well, this thing, is important to me, but like for me, I'm trying to think of an example. Like what is an example that you use?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm going all over the
I
place.
can't even help you because I don't even know where you're
She's trying to help you.
yeah.
I'm trying to follow along,
No,
but I don't know.
Like cleaning. We'll just say cleaning, for example. Like for me, the way that I grew up, it was like you said, it was more like you could clean, but that takes out, like if you cut the cleaning all the time, that takes out more time of your day. And like, I think it's more important. Like I never really got the whole making the bed thing. That was something for some reason.
Well, I still don't make the bed.
Yeah, that's something I'm passionate about for some reason. Is I'm like the only people who are ever going to see it are you and your wife, and who you.
And you're just
impressing.
gonna mess it up again.
Exactly. But to Abby, she told me one day, she said, listen, and I think it really took this because I think at the beginning you would be like, I want you to clean this and I want you to do this. And it was more of like man, like I feel like I'm being ordered around. But then whenever we started to compromise with each other and we learned open communication, I think is so important because she would say, hey, the reason I'm wanting you to clean this is because when I go into the bedroom and I see the bed's all messed up, it makes me anxious because I'm like, oh man, like if the bed's messed up, then I'm gonna have to start cleaning that and then do this and that, and then it just is a snowball. So that made me go, okay, you know what? It's important to me because I don't want Abby to be anxious. Not I'm not going to do it because I don't think I should make the bed. It's like I'm doing it for her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And she does stuff for me, like all kinds. Like Abby she'll watch shows that she doesn't care about, so that I can have someone to talk to about like what I just watched or something. And it's a good compromise.
Yeah, I think that's very important. It's just as putting your spouse ahead of, that's treating your spouse. You know, putting you ahead of what I want. You know, and that's our goal.
And like you hear about that, but you don't ever really hear how to do it and like experience it. Like I think that's something that the church really starts needing to teach the youth, like even before they get married, is what a woman should be biblically and what a man should be biblically and how they come together. Because my youth group kind of really messed me up when it came to like what being a wife was and the expectations of being a wife. And they didn't even talk to the men about being a husband. And I think that when you get married, it's like, okay, were you supposed to be the man of the house, the leader? And it's like, well, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, the wife is supposed to be submissive but not roll over, and she's supposed to support her husband. And it's like, well, I don't know how to do that because I've been independent my whole life. And so you're at this crossroads where you want to be something, but you have no idea how to be it. And so I think that's really difficult because it's just a complete learning experience that you just have no idea where to even start, and it can feel really overwhelming.
You hear that, church?
Yeah,
Right there.
Yeah. But I think that too, on the men's side of things, I know guys who are married and they see that verse, that says like, wives obey your husband. I don't know the exact terminology, I'm sorry, but it's like, wives should obey their husbands, and they almost see that as like, well, I can do what I want, and like she just,
And they forget
I
their
can
part.
make the decision, and she just has to do whatever I say. And someone explained it to me one time, and this is like, I don't know why this is probably a simple thing, but this like blew my mind, is that what that is saying isn't that a husband gets off scot-free. That's actually saying that a husband has even more responsibility on his shoulders, because he's supposed to be like Christ, to where these decisions that he's making, he is putting his family first. And so when he's making these decisions, it's not just, well, this is what I want to do, so that's what we're going to do. It's, okay, this is what I'm looking at this situation, and what can I do that gets my family further? And then your wife has to go, okay, I trust that you looked at this situation, and I'm putting faith that you know what you're doing, basically. And it's not, so it works both ways. You can't just expect your wife to do whatever you say without giving her a reason to see, okay, well, he's actually putting some thought
And respect
into,
is like a big part of that too. I mean, if you don't respect your husband, you're not going to be like submissive in that way, because you're going to be like, well, he's not making the right decision. Why should I listen to him? Like, I'm obviously like better and smarter. And even though you might not be saying those things, like, even if that's just the way you feel, you're not going to be the godly woman that you need to be. And so, like, I think respect is at the core of where you need to start when it comes to stuff like that, because it's just, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do if you don't respect one another.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I think that we have, our culture and the time that we're living right now has taught us the opposite of what you were
for
saying.
sure.
And so it's double hard now for you guys to
That's what
go
we've
into
learned
marriage
too.
and because really, even if you tried to talk about this with your friends, they're going to tell you you're doing it wrong.
Right. Because it does say submit to your husband, not submit to your husband if they're doing the things that you want them to do the way that you want them to do it.
Exactly.
But it also says that men love your wives like Jesus loved the church.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That is putting them always, but that's
Yeah.
washing their feet. That's loving them with all that you are. That's forgiving and forgiving and forgiving. That's just unfathomable.
Yeah.
And that's our call.
And I think when a husband does that, though, it makes it easy for the wife.
Oh, for
Exactly.
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To submit. So that's why it's a team effort.
Yeah,
Right.
we've seen a huge shift in that, because at the beginning of our marriage, I don't think either one of us knew. We knew what we were supposed to be, but like we didn't know.
I would say I had no idea.
But we
just
didn't
being
know
honest.
how to even start with it.
Yeah,
and I think that now it's not easy, and like we're not. I mean, I'm not just gonna be like we're perfect and we've got everything figured
and now
out.
we're
But I mean,
sunshine
like
and rainbows.
7 months ago compared to where we
Yeah.
were when we got married and where we are now, I wouldn't even recognize us then, honestly.
That's crazy.
Because, and it's just like doing quiet times together has been the absolute best experience. Every
What is
time
doing
we're in the
quiet
car.
time together?
So we're actually doing, well, we did one over Christmas. We did an Advent together.
And that was what started it. And
yeah, and we were doing it before bed, but then we changed that because we were tired. So we do it like whenever we can now. And then when we got done with that one, we changed to, what is it called? Like, How to Save Your Marriage.
Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts by Les and Leslie, and I can never remember their last name.
I want to say Nope, and that's not us.
But yeah.
Well, Leslie, nope.
I know what you're talking about.
But
it's an incredible book.
It's a great book. And let me clarify before, because I would be kind of confused. When she says we stopped doing it before bed, she just means we moved it to a different time in the day. We still do it every day, but we just moved it to a different.
we all got that.
But I don't know. I didn't want people to be like, we were tired, so we stopped doing our Bible study. But no, and did I cut you off? I didn't want to cut you off.
The other thing I was going to say is, like, every time we're in the car, we just turn on worship music, or we try to not be on our phones if the other person is driving, and try to really spend that time together, because I just feel like we tried to do worship like together in the apartment. And I don't know about Jacob, but for me it was kind of hard, because it was like, well, I want to do these other things, and like my mind is somewhere else.
Yep.
And I feel like it's a lot easier when you're driving, because it's like you're already doing something, and there's nothing else you can do, so the focus is easier for us.
Yeah.
And it's also harder to get in fights when you listen to worship music, and it's harder to be mean to each other when you're listening to worship music. And I think that those two things, like doing a Bible study together, doing our own Bible study, and actually... I mean, we were doing it, but we weren't doing it every day, spending as much time as we were doing it, and things like that.
And I'll say that too, because I think when it started, I made the mistake of being like, I'm going to do a Bible study with Abby, and then that'll be how I get close to God. And, you know, the Bible doesn't say that, you know, I'm half a person and Abby's half a person, and then whenever we get married, now we're a full person and we can get close to God. God wants that alone time with just you and him too. And so if, like... it's probably even more important, I would say, that you are taking your own time to be with God and to study his word, and I think especially for men, or it's important for women too, like, don't let me say it's not, but especially for men, because we're being called to be like Jesus, literally, as a leader of the home. So we need to, like, make sure that we know what that means, because how can you know what it's like to be like Jesus if you don't know what Jesus did and said and thought, you know? And so, like, yeah, that quiet time has been just an amazing thing. And then the worship thing, I can't, like, man, I remember growing up, when we were here, in the car, we'd always listen to worship music. And I remember as a kid being like, yeah, this is so lame. Like, when I'm by myself, like, I'll be like, when I'm by myself, I'll listen to John Mayer and Led Zeppelin and whatever I want. And I just love that. And why can't we just listen to that? And it's like, now that I'm older, I'm like, man, just like Abby said, it's crazy the difference it can be in a day if you start the day off by going, I'm going to listen to worship music in the car, than if I'm going to listen to John Mayer sing about how much he loves Katy Perry or something.
Not that you can't. Like, we'll switch out, but we always try to have some kind of time in the car worship. A
lot. And like I said, it's also helped us to just kind of accept as well, sometimes you are going to get upset and argue with each other, and that's not a big deal. Like, just respect each other. Like, respect that you don't have to have the same opinion.
That's a big one that we learned.
Yeah, because we kind of realized, we boiled it down and said, why are we arguing? And it really came from a place of, like, I care enough about your opinion that I want you to think the way that I think, and I care enough about your opinion that I want you to think the way I think. And so we would be like, in our minds, it's like we were going, I'm doing this because I love this person so much and I want them to be on the same level as me. But really, it's like, that doesn't always have to be that way, you know? Like, it's weird how the devil will play tricks with your mind and be like, oh, you're doing this because you care that much about the person. And really, no, he's just, you're just fighting.
And what's amazing to me is you guys are figuring this out. You're 7 months in. There's people out there probably listening, watching, that still have been years and years and years and have no clue.
Well, when we were going, sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No, you're good.
Like, when we were going through this, it was discouraging sometimes, because I would look at other marriages. Like, I had some friends that were married, and, like, my sister is married, and I'd be like, gosh, they don't seem like they're going through any of this. And then I just kind of felt like God said, like, they will, you know? Like, there's always going to be a moment or a period in someone's marriage where you go through a rough spot. It's just you guys are going through yours early, and you guys are maturing early, so that the pain is earlier, and you guys are going to be able to work it out later. Not that, like, this is it, and then the rest of our marriage is going to be great.
Once you get through this, it's smooth.
Like, I think comparing yourself is so dangerous, even when you don't mean to. Like, we talked about how we would just look at other couples and be like, I like how he does that for her, and, like, my husband doesn't do that for me. And just those little thoughts, like, the devil will take and just hang on to, and then it will be like, well, he doesn't care about you, and can't you see that he's not doing enough for you? And I just think it's just so dangerous to let yourself go there. Like, you
Yep.
just have to shut it down and be like, no, but look at what my husband does for me. Or no, look at what my wife does for me in her way. And I think that that's something we've had to learn too. That's really important.
And what you're saying is key, because our battle is not against flesh and blood. It's against the powers and principalities of evil that is coming against us. We're not fighting with each other. You know, we're fighting against an enemy that we don't see, that is causing us to fight with each other.
And I think also we need to remember when we acknowledge that we're really not fighting each other, and you're not fighting each other, but we're fighting against, there really is, and I believe this with my whole heart, and I know you guys do too, the enemy is coming to kill, steal, and destroy. Not just us personally, but he hates marriage.
Oh, for sure.
He hates family.
Yeah.
And so I think, number one, that you've gone through a rough patch maybe, but you're going to look back on it and remember, like, God, how faithful he was, and the things he taught you to get through this rough patch. But what you said, this is not going to be the last time, right? Because if it is, I would be more fearful, because it means the enemy doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't
we're
care.
not doing something right.
And so, and even when I was praying for you guys, and because, like I said, I know the first year's hard. I always, in the back of my mind and in my heart, knew that God had something big for you guys. If you could just get through this, you know what I mean? Like, if you can just get to the other side, the testimony you'll have and the ministry you'll have, because he uses broken things. That's what he uses. And so I love that. This is neat to be able to talk to you guys and hear this side of it. I mean,
It is. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And too, what we see, you were talking about, this person does this for this person does this for this person. But most of the marriages we see are those social media
Exactly. I was about to say
marriages that, are all light and fluffy, but they never are real and share what's really going on in the background.
Yeah, and that's why you'll be, you'll see on Facebook someone that, like, oh man, they have the perfect life, and then a month later it's like they got a divorce, and you're like, what?
I've had to unfollow so many people because I'm just like, oh, like I'm coveting that, or like I'm wanting that, like I don't need to be around that. But I love that picture of the apple where, like, it says social media is the front of the apple, and then behind it it's like rotted, and it's like the real life. And I think that's so important. And actually, something in 2021 that I talked about with Jacob is that I didn't want to take as much pictures, because I wanted it to be more of like memories and more in the moment, and instead of like trying to get others to be like, look at what we're doing, just it being us and being like, no, look at where we are and look at what we're doing, because we don't have anything to prove to anyone else.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think it's good that you guys are doing this podcast, because, like, even on YouTube, and I watch it on YouTube, I don't like, but on YouTube, kids are growing up seeing like these YouTube families, and it's like, we got this giant house and everything's good, and like we're just in love, and like our kids get 50 PlayStations every time they come out, and look how crazy our life is. And I think it's important that not only for married couples, but for people who are thinking about getting married, people who are getting engaged, to have stuff like this to look at and go, okay, this is the real stuff. This is what it really looks like. This is like, it's not like, and they lived happily ever after, like at the end of a Disney movie,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, and it's work, and it's compromise, and it's lots of grace poured sprinkled throughout your day.
For sure.
And it's worth it.
And it's worth
Definitely.
it.
It's worth it.
It
I'd
is
say
worth
so.
it.
It's worth it to have that person who will send you a Captain America skin on Fortnite.
Go,
So
Abby.
If there is a young couple who maybe they're just getting married, maybe they're engaged, maybe they're thinking about, what would you say to them? If they're, like, what advice would you give them?
The advice I would give them, and first off, pray. And that's like,
But pray for each other.
Pray
like,
for
don't
each other.
Pray specific things.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with not being married if you're not ready, I think. Like, I think, to toot my brother's horn, Ethan, I'm so proud of him, genuinely, because he has a really good relationship. Like you said, we all love Emmy, and a lot of people I know would go, my brother just got married, my younger brother just got married, I guess I should get married. But instead, he at least I think this is what's going through his head. He's like, for all I know, he's
He
just
wants
like,
to hunt.
Yeah, for all I know, he's like, I can't get married to no woman. But no, I think it's important to really get to know each other and have those difficult conversations. And I think that there's premarital Bible studies. Do those together, because I know a lot of those, they will ask you to ask those difficult questions and stuff. Because I know that there were friends that I knew that got married that it seemed like they never had a fight and they never did anything. Like nothing ever happened. And I thought, man, the first time they have a fight when they're married, that's going to be rough, because they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to get through the rough stuff. So make sure that you...
And I would say premarital counseling.
Oh,
I
yeah,
feel
for
like there's
sure.
a stigma around that. Like
There is.
Even
There
when
is around counseling.
Period. Exactly.
And I remember
We're
telling my
believers in
parents.
counseling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I remember telling my parents, like we did premarital counseling for a lot longer than people did, and my parents were like, well, why are you still going? And I'm like, are you having all these issues? And I'm like, first of all, like, I'm not going to talk about it, but second of all, it's to prevent those issues.
Yeah.
Like if you wait until you have issues, you're probably not going to get through it as well as you would if you caught them before. And I mean, talking about your childhood is important for each person. You have no idea what that's going to bring to the marriage. Getting through all of your trauma so that you're not bringing, I don't want to say like weight into the marriage, because that sounds bad, but like you have to take care of yourself to take care of other people. And if you're coming in with a lot of baggage, you can't take care of your husband. Or if you're coming in with a lot of baggage, you can't take care of your wife. And letting them into that side of it, and I think that premarital counseling is just really important. And even getting married and still going to counseling, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I just don't really understand why. I think there'd be a lot less divorce if we didn't have the stigma around.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we can't figure out everything on our own. And there's nothing, I don't think that Jesus is like, don't go to counseling, come to me. Because sometimes we don't know everything and we don't know what to do. So
And
I think that's a big one.
To all the young boys out there, I do want to say this. Like I said, I think I definitely proposed too early, and then got married a little too early. But I think the Lord worked it out, so it's good. But like I remember sitting there looking at Abby, thinking about Abby, and being like, there is nothing in the world I want more than to marry this girl, and I know that she's the one God has picked for me, right? And those things were true, but I didn't go, but when, God? When should I ask her to marry me? And said, so like, take time to build that relationship up. Don't see it as like, if you feel like God is telling you wait a little bit, don't see it as like, oh, God's holding me back. See it as, no, take that time to build something up. And if this is the one God has meant for you, you're going to get there. So just take that time, and I think it'll well be worth it in the long run.
I can remember when you were little, you said it more than this time, but I specifically remember when you were younger and we were going to Covenant College or Cloud Canyon or something, and we were driving up the mountain, and you said, Mom, I don't want Jesus to come back until I'm married. Don't you remember that? I want to be married before Jesus comes back.
And I would pray every night, because the Bible says no man shall know the hour. And every night before bed, I'd pray my regular prayers and then go, and God, I know for a fact you're coming back tomorrow.
I know you're coming back.
Gosh, I would do that before my parents took me somewhere. Like, we went to Build-A-Bear the next day. I'd be like, Lord, I know that, like, this won't matter, but if you could just not come back tomorrow until I get my Build-A-Bear, that would be really great.
But no, like, yeah, for sure. I'm so glad Jesus didn't come back before we got married. But now I'm like, I hope Jesus doesn't come back before we have children.
Oh, yeah, let's slow down.
That's what I'm saying. Take a couple of years, Jesus, because we're going to take a couple of years. Let me have some kids.
But yeah,
Got
the
some
last
grandbabies.
thing I would say is community. Like, don't go through anything alone.
Yeah.
I mean, don't be afraid to share your struggles, because you gain so much information by sharing your struggles with other married couples. Like, I remember being so afraid to share things that were going on with my friends, and then I did, and they were like, oh, yes, this is what we're going through.
Yeah.
And it's like, why hide that? Like, it's just so powerful to have someone praying for you and someone knowing what's going on and someone holding you accountable to what's going on. And so having couples that will strengthen you in Christ, going to Sunday school, going to Bible studies, things like that are just, I mean, we weren't meant to do life alone. And in the Bible, a lot of it is community. So I just would really emphasize
And what
community.
you said, too, about, and I don't want to keep saying the church, but we've also made that something you don't do in the church. You can't be honest and open about your struggles, because they're going to be like, well, what's wrong with you that you're having these struggles? When
Exactly.
really we should say, wow, the enemy's attacking this person.
Yeah.
We need to help lift their hands up and gather around them. Obviously, God's got something for them, or the enemy wouldn't be attacking them so hard. But instead, we say, well, what are you doing? Why,
Exactly.
You need to read your Bible more.
Exactly.
You
Pray it
more.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully that I'm seeing a shift in that a little bit. But yes, I agree.
Sorry, this is a longer episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay
No,
though.
we love this. Has been
my
great.
favorite.
This will
Yeah, I
probably
love this one.
people will probably get more out of this than any.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, please, Lord, have a guest on your.
Yeah, we need to make y'all a regular at
Yeah,
least
you need to
once
be a
every so
regular
many.
I'll
guest.
listen. If Abby doesn't want to come back, I'll
Jacob
come
loves
back
talking.
all the time.
We talked about today. I was like, Jacob, I don't think there's enough words in the world to quench your thirst.
The sound of his voice.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm telling you, it's like Ariel.
Oh.
That's awesome.
But no, for real.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for
So
having
he
us.
he wanted to get married before Jesus came back and become a superhero, maybe, or something. Or
Superhero,
there was
yeah.
one
I'm
other
still
thing.
working on that
You're
one.
still working on that. Yeah.
I am.
You
Little by
saved your
little.
dog from the rain. You caught him.
I
from
did.
that.
I caught my dog. I'm his superhero, I think. But I don't know. You never know. I still pray it sometimes. I won't lie.
Lord, please.
I do. I'll be like, God, if it you could make me a superhero.
Just give me just one power.
Just one power, even for a day.
Yeah.
I'll take what
I
I
wouldn't
get.
tell anybody. But thanks for having us.
Yeah,
This has
Absolutely.
been great. Thanks for
Check
coming.
out
Oh
Zaltrax.
my
We'll
God.
have it at
That's
Zaltrax.
Zaltrax.
All right, I've run out of patience. On to ruse!
Yeah, go ahead and like
If you're
it.
Any of
promoting
my
it, you have
students
to do
who
it.
want to
This
subscribe.
Friday, hold me to it.
Oh gosh. No.
All right. This
What is it gonna
Friday.
be about
well,
this Friday?
That's in like 2 days or
No, it's Sunday, honey.
Oh, we're actually doing this Sunday. This is amazing because I've got like instead
I
of
know.
that night to edit it, I've got like 4 days to put
I
this.
know.
This will be a good one.
We
Yeah.
usually do it on Sunday, but he doesn't actually record it, and then we have to redo it
Yeah,
again
you gotta
another day. And then he doesn't record that one either, and so then the third time we
Yeah.
do it on Wednesday night at like.
And then it sounds
10
terrible
o'clock.
because I'm holding the mic right next to
Yeah.
my mouth and it's
He hits me
crackly.
with a mic.
I think
Things like
they're
that.
good. But no, I got a video lined up. I guess I could tease
How
what it is.
exciting!
Yeah, what
I've
is
been
it?
on your Zaltrax channel.
Mom's viewer on metal skeleton. You scared me more than the thing did.
We played a scary game.
But it's something to do with Pokemon. Pokemon's
Nice.
Pokemon,
25th
gotta catch
25th
'em.
anniversary. We have the same birthday.
Really?
1996.
Oh, birth year.
Wow.
Birth
I
year,
was
not
like-
birthday.
Birth year. Okay. That's still
I have
pretty awesome.
I have the same birth. If I always tell people I was born on the winter solstice, so if I was in the world of Avatar, I'd be a very powerful waterbender. And Abby rolls her eyes almost every time that's how I start my introduction. I'm like, "Hi, my name is Jacob. I was born on the winter solstice. If I was in the Avatar world, I'd be a very powerful waterbender." But
Awesome.
thanks.
Well, thank you guys for coming. And if you like what you see here, if you want to see more, please like, subscribe, rate, hit that bell notification. Check out Arthur here. He's one of Jacob's favorites. You know, we didn't used to purposely not have cable. And
We
poor
listen to
kids.
only worship music.
We
And
listen to
we did
worship
not let
music
them
and
have
watch
cable.
PBS Kids.
Yeah.
And this was the absolute best
It
show.
was the best
the
show.
best
So
show.
good.
And they had
It really was.
very, very like 10-second tangent. Best show ever. And I used to hate it because I'd come home from school and only one episode would be playing. Why do you have it playing like at the last second when kids get home from school? Let's
That's
play
true.
all day.
Art-
Arthur was for the
I
older
know.
kids. It wasn't
Exactly.
like the
It's for
stupid
the parents.
Caillou.
We watched
Oh
Arthur
my
together.
gosh, Caillou. That was
gosh.
Oh, don't bring up
funniest little
Caillou.
brat.
Caillou. There's
I
some
love
theory.
Caillou.
There's some theories about Caillou. Look them up online. I won't share them on this podcast.
Please don't
but,
share 'em.
But it
Jake
explains.
knows that. That's what you need to do, a theory channel.
Yeah. The dark past.
Like, subscribe, rate, share, hit the bell notifications, and